right. Moving on to Sterling Davis, having tough conversations and dealing with feral humans. We're going to dive into a topic that's uncomfortable to talk about, race and TNR. We all know TNR and community cat care are dominated by white women. So how do you rescue a colony when the people in the area don't look like you? The Trap King has the tips and tricks and insight to help you bridge that racial divide.
Hey,
All right, excellent. And Kristen will flip the slides over and I am going to vacate.
we
So,
having this is tough conversations, and first I want loosen up because it is I guess it is a touchy subject, but I would like for people to get better in general with discussions and topics like this because that's how we get better. That's how things get better. That's how we get more help for the cats is to have these type of discussions. So let's not be uptight. Let's loosen it on out and get on into it. All right, TNR. So TNR, for those of you that and you can go to the next slide. Meow, sorry about that. For those of you that don't already know what TNR is, it's trap, neuter, and return. So this is the humane alternative to death or euthanasia for stray and feral cat populations. It's a process where cats are caught in humane traps. They're taken to low-cost spay-neuter clinics. You can take them to any clinic, but if you do it on the level that a lot of people, like a lot of you and myself do in rescue, then it's probably best that you take them to a low-cost spay-neuter clinic. But they're taking the low-cost spay-neuter clinics where they're spayed, neutered, vaccinated, and then they're returned back to their colony. And this prevents overpopulation and spreading disease. One of the reasons why we have this talk is because typically you don't see a lot of people that look like myself in TNR, and that could be troublesome and tough on both ends of the spectrum. So it's tough because the Black community, a lot of Black and brown communities, underserved communities aren't aware of what it is, and that makes it hard for some of the amazing women that taught me to be able to come in and help these communities. So that's the reason for a talk like this. Meow. So how I got started real quick. For those of you that haven't heard this story yet, I feel like it's me, so I feel like I've told it a billion times, but I started in music, entertainment. Most of my life I've done music and entertainment. I left probably back, this is probably like 8 years ago. In between music tours, went out. Um, well, in between music tours, I was at home trying to find something to do to not waste a bunch of time and sit around and blow money and do nothing. So I saw an ad in Craigslist that it was about scooping litter. And at the time I had cats, was vegetarian. I always loved animals. So I was like, this would be cool. I could do this. This would be the easiest amount of work to do before I go back on tour, because that was my goal, to go back on tour. So I went and applied for the job. Went in the interview room. I feel like they set me up because it was a ton of cats in the interview room and I couldn't answer the questions right. I kept picking the cats up, playing with the cats. They even told me after the woman interviewed me, even told me that that was horrible. Like, you didn't even answer the questions right. I kept, huh? What did you say? Pardon me? But they hired me and they wanted me to stay because they said, no disrespect, we just don't see a lot of people like you in love with cats like this. We think it'd be very beneficial to the mission if you stayed. And I'm like, I'll stay for a minute, but I'm going back on tour. Long story short, I ended up staying for about 5 years. Y'all can imagine what it was like for me calling a bunch of my dudes, my homeboys on a rap tour saying, hey, I'm not coming back to rap with y'all. I'm gonna rescue some cats. You can imagine how crazy that sounded and how it was. And to this day, I still kind of get made fun of about that. But it's what I did. I saw something that I felt like would be more impactful. This is more so like, you can be cool standing on stage and making music, but I felt like this was my legacy. I really wanted to leave something behind. Meow. Yo, this picture right here, I just got to talk about this picture. This is a picture from Paul Jack Runway, actually. I it was where we walked down the aisle and we model cats. And so I had cats in my robe. And when I got to the end of the thing, I opened up and had the cats. But we were doing this so we could get cats and dogs adopted, which is pretty dang on cool. Meow. So one of the things I want to talk about is, again, why we're having this discussion. Two of the things that did it for me. One was when I was working for the shelter that I started with that trained me. It was a county shelter, and I started doing. I was promoted to the community cat care coordinator. So one of the things that alarmed me for real was so many of my volunteers, so many of my cat ladies we would knock out a colony, knock out this colony, knock out this colony, and then I would notice these two colonies left, which were predominantly Black neighborhoods. They were getting harassed. I mean, harassed, cursed out, uh, almost attacked. Like it was really bad. It was really bad, and I was like, man, I don't know. You know, it's crazy that people are that mad and they getting this rude with a lot of my cat ladies and my volunteers. So that was one thing that alarmed me. What set it off, and I've told this story before too, but if you had never heard it before, this one is pretty serious. So I was returning cats one day, and I'm in a mainly predominantly Black neighborhood, and I'm returning cats, and I'm opening up the back of the van. I got my traps out here, and I'm about to return, and I see four gentlemen walking behind me, four Black guys, and they coming behind me. They're coming to me. I see them coming to me. You know, where I'm from, usually that's like not a good sign. It's probably going to be some trouble or at least some aggressive conversation. So I put the traps down, turned around to talk to these gentlemen. And what they told me really took everything I'm doing to another level. They were like, so, yo, look, you know, white people put tracking devices and diseases in these cats and dump them in Black communities to hurt our community, to hurt our neighborhoods. And I was like, why? Like, man, for real? That's what you think? Like, you really believe that something that typically Black people not even supposed to like, cats, that's what they trying to do? Like, they're so far fetched from that. So that really pushed me to another level of saying, okay, I have to bridge this gap. There has to be an understanding. There has to be a way for my cat ladies to come in this neighborhood without being hurt. It has to be a way for them to come in the neighborhood without my community feeling like they're gonna be hurt or be attacked. And that's a lot of the reason why I got started doing it. Meow. So racial diversity. What the reason I started TrapKing, Humane Cat Solutions, it was a couple reasons. One, of course, like I said, to bridge the gap between the Black community and the animal rescue community. That's one reason. It was also to get more men engaged, and it was also to protect our ladies. A lot of our ladies that's going out there. I've had women like a young lady in Philadelphia who was feeding a colony. She was robbed. I recently had, if you all follow me on Instagram, I recently had a story where the news even reported it in Florida, where a woman by the name Maria, shout out to Maria, thank you for what you do. She was attacked, robbed, had her car stolen, beat up while she was out trying to feed her colony. So the reason why racial diversity is important is because, for one, we need to be able to, we need to, on a board, and I think we said this before, we was talking about this with James, on a board, if you only have one type of anything, it's going to be tough. If you only had a bunch of guys, if you only had a bunch of women, if it was only just a bunch of white people, if it was only a bunch of Black people, you're going to have an issue. It's a reason why the communities that thrive the most are diverse. And I feel like that's the same way in animal rescue. And it was really important for me to reach out to create something like TrapKing that I knew would reach out and grab the attention of other demographics, because that's more help for our cat ladies. More importantly, it's more help for our cats. So it was really important for me to do that. And that's why racial diversity is very important, not just in the world, but in cat rescue. Meow. So that's racial diversity. I pretty much just covered that, but we can meow again. Thank you. So this is some tips. This is some tips. This is some of the stuff that I have learned in working, because it's like I said, it's still a surprise to me. I've always been the weird dude in my family, amongst my friends that like cats. So, and I think the military, being in the military, it helped me get used to being around and communicating with different people, different cultures, different races and everything. But a lot of people, I go to some communities and they've never been outside of that community. So some of the tips that I've learned, one is listen to the community. Like a lot of times we feel like we already know. We come in there and we say, okay, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong. This is how you do this. A lot of times before we even spread that education, I feel like it's good to listen. Like we need to listen. If when you approach someone as if I know, you may not know, you don't know, or you doing it wrong, the response is a little bit different. I've had so many people come to me and say that just because it was the approach. It was the approach that I didn't like. Like I'm not even saying nothing was wrong. It was just the approach I didn't like. And then don't judge. Don't don't judge. I've been in a lot of situations. I've gone out to communities. I've seen some things, and right away I want to judge and let them know how I feel about it. But I know that's gonna make it a lot harder for me to get my point across. Um, Showing compassion to cats, well, showing compassion to people and not just the cats. This is a big deal. This is such a big deal. I've had, again, from the same situation where, like, those gentlemen that came and walked up behind me to talk to me, that was one of their main things. Like, yo, they come in the neighborhood and they care about the cats and they care about the dogs, and they can write me a citation because my dog is tethered, but I don't even know what tethered means, and they don't care about any of the things that's going on in this community but the cats and the dogs. So it's important for people to understand that, hey, I'm not just here only for the cats or the dogs. Like I am sympathetic and I care about it and I'm compassionate towards the things that's going on in your community as well. I recently had a campaign, a t-shirt campaign, that it was called Allies in Rescue, Allies in Life. And I was really proud about this campaign because we were able to raise funds and donate 100% of the funds to a nonprofit that was called, it was for police reform. I'm trying to remember the name, but it was for police reform. And so many people in the rescue community purchased a shirt, and we were able to donate like almost $15,000, I think, probably more than that. But it showed, it really meant a lot to me because it was one of those things where it showed, yes, the rescue community came together and focused on something that wasn't just the animals. It was about the people in the community as well. So that was a beautiful thing. Yeah. Going into communities and where people don't look like you, be yourself and expect some language barriers. I even made some TrapKing tote bags, and it has the logo on the front, but on the other side, it has a brief explanation of what TNR is in English, and then an explanation in Spanish right up underneath it. And that's because I've been cursed out in Spanish a few times going to TNR, and I didn't understand what was even being said. I just knew that the body language, I was like, okay, I don't know what they're saying, but I'm getting cursed out. I know I'm getting cursed out right now. So expect that and prepare for it. Be ready for it. I mean, some people have used flashcards. I say the tote bag is good, but prepare for it and be ready. You don't want to get uncomfortable with that. Meow. Cultural bias. Now, this is this is something I think subconsciously is in all of us. Um, it's something, I'll say this, I'll use this example. It's basically stereotypes put on race, gender, things to that extent. Like I'm a black man, so I must be fast. I must can run fast. I'm probably big, strong. White man can't jump. Asian, she's good at math. These are all cultural bias, and these are the type of things you got to be careful with, because it's automatically we develop a preconceived notion of what this person is or how they're going to act before we go in. Before you even go in a neighborhood, you already expect, because of cultural bias, or this person's going to be like this person's going to be like this person's going to be like that. So we got to try to stay away from that too. That's a pretty, and all of us have it. All of us have it. But it's, again, if we go into a situation automatically thinking a certain way, it hinders what we got going on. Even with, and this is another tip I want to say too. This is a big one. I don't want to leave this out. I don't want to forget it. Let me say this word, and I wish we was in a room together right now so I could see everybody's face when I say this name. Michael Vick. Michael Vick. Like I said, I really wish I could see everybody's face and respond to me saying Michael Vick. I bet it's a whole lot of So for those of you that don't know Michael Vick is the football player. He played for the Atlanta Falcons. He got caught for I don't know how many dogs. I don't know how many dogs this. He got caught. He had on his property dogs that had been brutally murdered, beaten. It was really bad. He went to jail for it. The animal rescue community slammed him. I wanted to physically run up and slam him myself. I couldn't believe it. And he did. He went to jail. He did some time. He ended up coming back and playing football for a minute. But I brought Michael Vick up because this is one of the things. This is one of the issues that have gotten some of my cat ladies in positions that they didn't need to be in. And it's about Michael Vick. It's how you respond to when that name is said, or giving your opinion about that in certain communities. In rescue, we want to slam Michael Vick on a bed of nails. Okay, we not feeling Michael Vick in rescue. The black community feels like it's just a way that this man, he served his time. He's done. He went to jail. He served his time. He lost his career over this, and this is a way for white people to pick on him. And that, now, whether you agree with that, whether it's right or wrong, not even important, because we going in communities and we want to be able to help the cats. We want to get this mission done. So stuff like Michael Vick, that topic, stay away from it. Like, it's no point in going there. I will say that religion, politics, Michael Vick, that's the type of stuff you want to stay away from. This, I've even had some of my cat ladies, and this is a good tip too. I've had some of my cat ladies take off some stickers off of their car. If you're going in certain neighborhoods and you have political stickers and religious stickers on there, you had a bunch of them. Like, a lot of people in rescue, we'll have a bunch of stickers on our bumper. And believe it or not, depending on what neighborhood you're going in, people will actually be against whatever you say and whatever mission you're doing before you even get to telling them, just because of these bumper stickers you have on your car. It's unbelievable, but it's true. Meow. Yes. Notice the little things. Be aware of your biases and prejudices. I just went over that, but I cannot express it enough, because, like I said, going into a community, we already have it coming from both ways. When the community you go into, and this underserved community, they see you jump out in your van and you got on uniforms, instantly it's like, okay, what are they about to do? It's a plot. It's something going on. It's probably not going to be positive. So, and then if we're coming in thinking these people don't know, these people don't care, instantly it makes it tough. Meow. Oh yes, let's talk about this is real important. Equality versus equity. And this is why this relates to animal rescue in this sense. As you can see the picture here, you see equality. Everybody over here over the fence, everybody's looking over the fence, and everybody got the same thing. Everybody has the same size uh stand to stand on, you know, the little step ladder to stand on. That's equality. Everybody gets the same thing. Equity comes from, and this is why we're talking about this as far as underserved communities. Equity comes from if someone has been behind. Like in the Black community, we talk about that because you could give, you know, if you were to give all of a sudden, you say, hey, we're going to give everybody the same amount of land and it'll be good. Somebody that's already had land, that's been taught, that's ahead, they know how to work that land and keep that land going. Somebody that never had it before, they're not going to work that land. They're not going to know how to keep it. And that's one of the things in rescue is that when we have the fact that we have underserved communities that are indeed behind in education as far as what to do, it's hard to go in that neighborhood and write somebody up, write a fine for tethering their dog. And like I said, again, they probably don't even know what tether means. And I've had a lot of guys say that. I had a lot of guys come to me and be like, hey, man, I got a fine for having my dog tethered. I don't even know what that means. And I'm like, yeah, you can't tie your dog up like that. But that's why equality and equity and understanding the difference from that is important, because the underserved communities that are indeed behind in education, before we go in and do this, we need to educate, make aware, and then also empower and listen to them so we can learn better ways to help the community and the animals in the community. Hit me with a meow. Yes, communication is key. Like I said, know how to listen as well as talk. Again, a lot of times we go in automatically thinking this person probably doesn't know as much as me. And maybe they don't. Maybe they don't in rescue, but you never know. Maybe they do. And maybe y'all might know or have the same type of information, but they know how to do this or handle this in this area. Maybe it's not that way everywhere, but in their area, they probably know the ins and outs of things. So you want to, communication is key, being able to talk. I know I hear so many people, so many of my cat people say this, and I get it. I get it. I understand. But so many cat people be like, I am not a people person. I like cats more than people. I can dig it. I can dig it. I'll be honest with you. I gotta say I do too, you know, most times. But listen, y'all. Listen, I'm gonna get real close. Check this out. If we want to spread the word, you gotta a little bit be people too. Just a little bit. And if you don't, if you're not, if you can't, then this is why it's good to work together. You want to bring somebody that is a people person with you, because again, communication is the key. Be flexible and smile. Smile. Even me, before I had to learn this and take this advice about being flexible and smiling, I would just jump out the side of that van with traps looking like a bounty hunter on a mission. I'm not smiling. I'm not doing nothing. I'm about to get these cats. I'm about to trap 40 cats today. And the look on my face, I'm not smiling. People looking at me like, what is this dude doing? Like, is he helping it, or he trying to hurt these cats? So communication is key. Be flexible, and yes, smile. Meow. This is my contact information. Anybody that want to get, because I can't see how many questions it is, and I want to get to the questions real bad. But any questions, anything you want to ask about TNR, and especially this situation, because one of the things that I want to do going further, like I said, I don't want it to just be, hey, this guy's only lifting up the Black community and that's it. I want to bring people together. I want to show that Black people can and do this, as well as we can work together. And I strongly believe, I mean, this is something I really believe in. Just like when I did music, um, just like with comedy, I think things like volunteering and rescue, I think it brings people together. So I really, more than anything, I want to do that. I know a lot of boards, rescuers. They want to add diversity. This conversation is difficult. Maybe you don't know someone that you could have this conversation with. So I want to be that again. I want to be able to help bridge that gap between the Black community and the rescue community, because again, when I started, it was a lot. I went out and trained with some amazing ladies, and it was so fun and amazing because I love cats, and I'm just like, oh man, this is dope. Look at this, they doing this, like they got it going. And then I finally, like after a week, I was like, hey, where are all the men and where are all the Black people at? It's like, it's you. That's about it. That's as good as we get. And since then, like I said, it's been like, wow, I didn't know it was that bad that we were lacking in that area to that point. But we are. So again, rescuers, if anybody has any questions going further with this, please reach out to me. I know it's an uncomfortable topic. When I did this presentation, something similar to this in person, we actually did role play, and I think it helped out a lot. But I don't think it's something that's gonna be solved in one question, one group. I think it's something that we got to keep working on, and that's the reason I want to go ahead and open the floor up, because I know it's a lot of questions, or even if you have not even just questions, but maybe experiences of your own or something that you want to talk about. So I want to go ahead and open that floor up.
So one question that a person had was, why did you choose to kind of go it alone rather than be like a community cat coordinator within, a larger humane society? Why did you decide to create TrapKing?
Well, when I was doing it, originally I didn't think about going on my own, because I'm actually terrified of the business side of this. I mean, for me, I feel like I'm good with people, I'm good with cats, and that's what I wanted to focus on. I actually didn't want to do that. But what I realized is that for what I was trying to do, it was a little risky. If you're communicating with a board where nobody looks like you and they're not used to this approach, it was coming off as aggressive. It was coming off as foreign. If people don't understand things, they don't typically like them. If it's new, they don't understand it. So I felt like I could have stayed with an organization, but I was taking certain risks that I didn't want other organizations to have to take. I wanted to take that risk on myself. I didn't want people who had established donors and a certain look to have to step away from that. So I went on my own and took the risk. But trust me, at first, it wasn't it wasn't what I really wanted to do.
Um, so, talking about conversations that you're having out there in the community with regards to cats. So, as you said, you were talking about role playing. How would you handle a conversation with folks that are actually not supportive of spaying and neutering? How do you have that conversation to try and get them to cross the bridge and accept TNR help?
Well, one of the things, and dealing with either underserved communities or people that don't like cats probably, or they don't understand it, I've learned to approach it in a different way. A lot of times before I go out and trap, I have to talk with apartment complex management or HOAs. In these presentations, a lot of times I'm not even mentioning the cats as much as I'm mentioning cleaning the community or tax dollars. You have to use things that's going to appeal to them more so than just cat, because we go in with our heart. If I go in and I tell you and I explain to you what I'm doing from just my standpoint and the people in rescue that I work with, the conversation is going to be like, they're beautiful, I love them, you got to take care of these cats, you have to do it like this. But a lot of people just see that's where we get this crazy mentality from, because we go in and pour our heart out about the cats and how much we want to help and love the cats, and they like, yeah, but I don't like cats, so how does this help me? So that's where we get that crazy thing, that stereotype. And Stacy, we talked about this probably the first time I was on your show, and it means a lot to me to debunk that. We got to get rid of that crazy cat lady thing. no such thing as a crazy cat lady. I want to end that. But with that, we got to be able to discuss things like clean the community, your tax dollars, humanity, rodent control. These are the type of topics you want to bring up versus just pouring your heart out saying, well, how could you not love a cat?
Do you find that it's beneficial if you do have, person of color or a Black person on, on your team? Do you make an intentional decision to go out into the community with them, or even though maybe they don't even trap, or something like that? Does that help the situation, or like just be real and whoever's the trapper is the trapper that goes out? I mean, how sort of forced or intentional do we need to be to have diversity?
It's tough, and that's again that's one of the main reasons why I started TrapKing, is because again there's the cultural biases. There's in the Black community, it's already a thought process that I see somebody that doesn't look like me in my neighborhood where everybody looks like me, and something is wrong. So I wouldn't say necessarily forced, but if I see it, I try to promote it in the sense that you can do this too. It's not a bad thing. But there is like one of the main things I'm working on right now is to get cats and cat ladies accepted. Just in the fact that, hey, cats aren't bad luck. She isn't. I had some kids on the stoop one time in some neighborhood, and they were like, yeah, that crazy cat lady down there, I think she a witch or something. She be cooking up the cats and all of that. Like that's the tough part, and that's the reason why I try to, if I'm in a predominantly white neighborhood, I kind of want to bring somebody Black with me. If I'm in a predominantly Black neighborhood, I want to bring somebody white with me. I want us to come together. So the toughest part about that is just debunking a bunch of stereotypes, like the crazy cat lady, or that, like I said, them young dudes said this lady was a witch. Like, what? Like, first,
Right.
do we even believe in witches before we believe that she's a witch because of her cats? Like, wow.
Right, right. The crazy cat lady in her Ked sneakers or whatever coming in and stealing people's cats or whatever, and you
Right.
have to be really, but yet then the minute there's like a litter of kittens that seem to be in distress, they're like your best friend,
Right. Then it's your
and
hero.
they need, then that's the hero, and so it's this different thing, going back and forth. So those are the challenges of the roles that we play in the community. Is there's this like love-hate relationship with us because they, they serve a purpose. They're there. And cat gets hit by a car, who do they call? And
Right.
so, there we become the emergency responders. So that's a huge challenge. I don't know how often you deal with this, but you probably do. Everybody deals with these kinds of questions. You know, Folks, as animal sheltering is changing, when people call and say, "Hey, I've got a cat I've got to get rid of," or "There's a cat in my backyard, when can I bring it in?" Or not even when, or "I'm bringing it in an hour," and that kind of thing. There's push, how do you do the pushback on that? And also there some people who feel like, "Oh, well, you're not going to help me because I live in an underserved area." And then there's the flip side, which is, "You're not helping me because and I'm in a wealthy area and you should help me because I'm in like the rich part of town." So, how do you kind of like try and figure out how to balance this, like the the customers, I guess, who don't really understand what it's like for us on this side of the street?
Yeah, that's a tough one. First and foremost, I really try to stay calm. Again, communication, a smile is key. I mean, getting aggressive, getting upset, you have to understand that a lot of people have no idea what we're doing. I mean, when I first heard about TNR, even myself, I didn't know if it was a drug or a new dance move. I had no idea. So we have to understand that a lot of people don't know, and expect some pushback. You have to be ready. That's why I say a lot of people say I'm not a people person. I'm a cat person. So I don't want to deal with people. That's why it's important for us to work together and either bring somebody that is good with people with us, or be able to speak to them, on our own. For me, Like I said, I've used a few different tactics. I've even had somebody say to me one time, so I guess, and this was like somebody in the upper class neighborhood with money felt like, hey, you should do this. And it was like, so I guess you only deal with high profile case TNR cases now, so you'll come out here now, right? And I was like, wow, it's a such thing as high profile. I don't think it's nothing high profile about driving around smelling like mackerel all day. Like I don't even eat meat. It's not high profile at all for me to do this. So, but I stay calm. I stay calm and I listen. A lot of times people want to be heard. They just want to get it off first. When we try to correct it, fix it, or combat it, we're already defeating the purpose here. Like a lot of times people want to be heard. I've went out to areas, and of course you have the neighbor that loves the cats, and then you got the neighbor that can't stand the cats. And the neighbor that can't stand the cats, they want to go off. They want to let you know that they mad and how bad this is. And I take it. I let them get it all out. A lot of times I've just not said anything until they were completely done. Let the awkward silence happen. Like, okay, all right, all right. And then go on into what you're saying, because at the end of the day, most people, if they're upset, they want to get that out. But when you start laying out the facts, if you like I said, if it's not a cat person and you tax dollars, this is your tax dollars. You can have somebody like this rescue group where you can voluntarily donate to, or you could just have it taken out your tax dollars to do for you to make no decision on what you want done. And then once I'm out of here with these cats, if you want me to take them away, I don't catch rats, so it's stop it. The rodent control changes, and not only that, there is a vacuum effect. I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of rescue people understand that vacuum effect, and I've had to tell plenty of people, if I were to remove all of these cats, if I were to do that, even though I'm not, if I were to do that, the same reason these cats were here, more are gonna come. If you control this population, it prevents new cats from coming in and the overpopulation and spreading of disease. So it's just, I think more than anything, staying calm, listening, letting people get it out, let people get it out, even on the positive end. If you got someone that just loves cats and they want to let them get that out too before you start your education. I've sat down and looked at a bunch of pictures of cats before I even got to the education part, because us cat people, that's the first thing we do. If we love it, it's like, look at Puffy over here, look at Floofy, look. So be willing to listen first.
All right. Someone was asking, do you have examples of a presentation you've done for an HOA?
Well, I don't have it recorded. I have bits and pieces, probably, but not probably not from HOAs, more so in front of rescues and stuff. And what I would do before the pandemic, what I learned that helped out a lot too. And let me say this too. This is a great tip. If people want to get into it this much, what I did, I got into clicker training and whistle training with my cats. It's good for bonding and interacting with your cats, teaching them tricks. Like my cats ring bells, they walk on leashes. If I whistle, they come. They understand what the whistle means. But one of the things that I would do with HOAs was, and this was before the pandemic, is I would bring my cat and I train her to go inside the trap, because I would have so many people in HOAs and apartment complex management say, well, what does it do? Does it hurt the cat? Is it, if they don't get in there, does it cut their tail off? And I'm like, wow, no. But having a demonstration and a cute little cat, which always helps, going in the trap, and they see exactly how it happens. It doesn't hurt the cat. They understand, oh, heck, I could probably do that because I don't even have to touch the cat. I don't have to touch nothing, huh? Because I don't like cats. I don't want to touch it. So it helps show people a lot. So I do have some snippets, and whoever asked that question, you could email me. I do have some snippets that I could put together, but I haven't recorded in front of an HOA before. Not
Yeah,
recorded it.
yeah, and well, I've presented in front of apartment complexes and Board of Health. I've done several Board of Health presentations when I started working in Chelsea, Massachusetts, the first place I went. was the Board of Health, and just to say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is, we want your support. And so if you want to see what the components were of those kinds of presentations, I'm happy to do that, because I just feel like if you're deep diving into a community, and you should deep dive, you're going to do targeted TNR. You want to make sure you've got as many of your officials on board with you. And if you're doing an HOA, if you've got an apartment complex and people are like, oh my God, the mystery white van is sitting in the parking lot, they're probably trapping cats and taking them off to the farm. And nobody knows what's going on. And then, so you're getting in there and you're trying to open up lines of transparency and communication. So it's really good. And I brought traps with me, and I showed them how it worked. And I actually had a volunteer with me who was like the lead trapping coordinator for the project. So they had a point person, and I was there doing my like public health and advocacy stuff and the rabies vaccine. I mean, I worked it more on the rabies vaccination side, also on the funding side. So the question is, okay, who's going to pay for all of this and that kind of thing? And if you invest a little on the front end, oftentimes they'll come back and they'll give you some money on the back end, just because they'll see the results. And so you might have to do a little bit of work and investment on the front end, but then they're going to be your best advocate going forward for future projects. And the association will give you some donations going forward. I'm not going to say they're going to pay the whole bill, but they will see the fruits of your labor, that's for sure. And so I think that, and then once you've got a successful story, you just keep replaying it, and you keep and capture your successes, and then you have it in your back pocket to pull out and say, well, this is what I did with your buddy down the street, and so your buddy knows more than you do. And you peer pressure them too. I do that with veterinarians too, in early age spay neuter. I used to say, well, Joe down the street's doing things, and you're only doing them at 4.
Right.
Really? So you have to understand, what are the right buttons to push to be able to do. So Board of Health, it's rabies vaccine. Veterinarians, it's like peer pressure of like, what's the business next door doing? I mean, everybody's got a button that they want to push, and you just have to determine what's the right one to push for that audience, really. And that's probably performers. Performers do that too. You're evaluating what your audience wants and needs, and that's how you're playing into it to get to the objective of everybody having a good time. I have another question in here that I want to ask. Is it our imagination, or do many Black people have fear or dislike issues with cats?
Oh, it's not your imagination at all. And that's not your imagination at all. It's very true. And like I said, from me growing up, when I grew up, it was so, even to this day now, I've been on dates before where it was like everything went well, but as soon as they saw my cat at the time, Rick James, it was like, no way in the world. I'm scared of cats. And this is my favorite one. I'm allergic to cats. You listen, so many Black people will tell you they're allergic to cats, and I've come to the point, and I'll be like, so you got an allergy test? No, but I know because I be itching. No, you're not even allergic to cats. But it's not your imagination, and that's something that I want to change, because it's almost programmed. I think it's not even really real. It's like one bad experience or one bad rumor, or they heard the black cat walking by you give you bad luck deal, and now all of a sudden it's just, I don't like cats. It's not your imagination at all, and I wanna change that. That's one of the reasons why you see my big head butt all the time on social media with my cats, is because I want to show the Black community a relationship with a man and his cats. Like, it's okay. It's not wrong. It's not bad. Even with talking to people about having cats as pets and adopting. In this world that we live in, it's hurry, hurry, rush, rush. You got a lot of stuff going on. So once we get back to normal, hopefully soon, and people go to work, you go to the gym. If you go to work and you go to the gym, if you got a dog, that dog is ready to kill you because they in the house, they haven't went for a walk, they want to use the restroom or the bathroom or whatnot, and they can't. With a cat, you go to work, you go to the gym, You go to happy hour, hang with your friends too. Come home and the cat is like, "Hey, what's up? What? So what? What are you doing? Are you? What are you? Why are you here now?" Like, so it's with certain types of lifestyle, it's even better, and those are the type of things that I try to show. I wanna put that out there more. But no, it is not your imagination. For whatever reason, we are desensitized to cats. Feel like they bad luck, and I think it's a matter of, again, education and communication, and we'll change it. We'll change it.
So I have a thought. So, with I have a thought. So with TNR, with our targeted programs, we have spay neuter where you have very reduced cost spay neuter fees. What about our adoption fees? Should we, in those same targeted communities, lower our adoption fees for residents in those communities to get like more, I don't know, more exposure, more diversity, more accessibility? I mean, is there a way to encourage what you're talking about, which is encouraging increasing that bond?
I think it is. I think it's a way to do it. I think it's still a matter of educating because, n- and not even just with underserved communities, there's this thought process that if you get a rescue cat or a rescue dog or a rescue animal, they just not as cool as this purebred animal you could buy or something to that extent. I don't know. That's the thought process, but a lot of it's not the case. And I'll say this, and which I know people hate to hear this, but my cat Rick James, who I had, who passed last year on my birthday, um, Rick James I bought from a breeder. I had him declawed, and you couldn't tell me that I didn't love cats and animals then, but I had no idea. I had no idea that that was against the mission, that that was bad. I didn't know declawing was like cutting the fingertip off that's the equivalent for what it is to cats. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I just wanted a cool cat that looked kind of cool. And I don't think people know that a lot of times these purebred cats or that cat that you might purchase can have more issues, just as many issues as any other cat can. So I think with education and just opening it back up, like I keep saying, bridge that gap, because when I was younger, I didn't have someone. We went to the zoo, maybe we went to a farm, but we didn't go visit a rescue shelter. We didn't go, I didn't see somebody young and hip that was like, yeah, check this cat out. So it's just it's just approaching it in a different way. Right now, I think we just really don't approach it, getting started with education and approaching it more and bringing it together. Because, like I said, we do a lot of this, but we don't do a lot of this and educating and bringing people into this world in a positive light. We kind of just jump out and go get and help the animals. So I do think with not just rescue, but things like adoption and even fostering, I think we could get a lot of different demographics more engaged if they understood the process of fostering. Like when I say fostering to a lot of my friends that's black, they have no idea what I'm talking about. They think it's like a foster child. So you get a foster child and you got that kid till they grown. It's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, no, actually, you keep this cat for a minute, you get them socialized and everything, and the plan is to adopt out. So many of them didn't even know that and that they could participate in that. So it's a lot of the education and getting out of the Michael Vick thing. I think Michael Vick messed us up. My goodness. Bad
Right,
business.
right. One final question, just to wrap up with regards to the difficult sort of conversations. You know, just think, the more that I think about it, the more you talk about education, and I think there's different views about education. Or people learn in different ways. Some people learn by doing, some people learn by listening, and there are other ways for people to learn. Some people learn because they do it the wrong way, and that's how they learn. Could, like, so you stick your hand in the trap, right? And the
Right,
cat
right.
bites your hand, and Yeah, you learn. Everybody, we talked about that
Like,
last
oh, I
night, and
shouldn't do that.
that's, I mean, even though Fluffy looked really cute, and I wanted, and Fluffy looked like he had no intentions of, biting me. Fluffy bit me. So, and somebody's told me 5 times, don't stick your hand in the trap. I mean, there's signs up and everything, and we have to learn through an experience or that kind of thing. Um, you know, we talk about education. So you talking about education, and you're going to touch upon this tomorrow. Education, you working with kids as a,
Yeah.
as a bedrock. Is it easier to work with the kids to help them perform this base, or should we spend our efforts there? Should we spend our efforts with the adult public? Both, spread ourselves out. Where's our best efforts met? Looking at the kids or the adults, or I know you're going towards the kids, so I was just thinking,
Right.
why are you spending your time that way?
Well, I hate to sound so cliche, but I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. But I also just strategically, if you're thinking strategically, if you want to reach the adults, the best motivator is to get the children. Like if you can get that kid, that child to say, "Mom, Dad, look, this is what we got to do. This is how it is." That will push and motivate a parent, the adults, more than anything. And I've used it. It's one of the reasons why I'm getting my RV wrapped now with cats all over it. It's the reason why my van was like that, because I'm approaching the community like the ice cream truck. Like, it looks fun, the kids are responding, and I've ran so many contests where I just, I set a trap here, set a trap over here, and I tell this child, hey, whoever texts me first with a cat, let me know that the cat is in the trap. First person get $20, second person get $15, third person get, five. And so it's a contest. And with the van looking like that and kids thinking they gonna be able to get some money, so I'm pulling in the neighborhood and they chasing the van now. They chasing it, like, and I think, like I said, outside of this, I believe that teaching something compassionate as selfless as rescue and volunteering, it makes for better adults. Teaching that compassion young makes for better adults. And like I said, it motivates the adults. I've seen, I've been able to get through to some adults and parents, but never like once the kid has gone home every day this week and said, "Ma, we got to make sure the cat is ear tipped." Enough of that has had parents reach out to me and be like, "Okay, you know what? Just come on, because my kid's not gonna stop. Just come do the trap thing and let them watch you because they haven't shut up about it since you came." And I'm like, "Well, thank you."
That's great. So, folks are interested in hearing more about Sterling's work with kids and education. He'll be talking about that tomorrow afternoon. Sterling, I want to thank you so much. You've been a star to be with us all day today, basically. So, thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Thank
Uh,
you for